Hello, everyone. Welcome to the LightBringers podcast, episode X. I can't remember. Not 10. Roman numerals. It's okay. We just had the Guild Chat episode. I have some amazing content creators with me here. We've got Rook, we've got Boots, we've got Valen. They're all info and everything is going to be in the description below. We're not going to do an intro like that because I'm too excited, and that will take a while. But look what we have. Look what we have, and welcome Valen. This is the first time Valen has ever been on this podcast as well, which is exciting.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to have you. So Valen, and just going to you first because you haven't been here before. What do you think this is?
You're talking about the
image, sorry.
Ranger, right?
Yeah.
So it looks like a Sylvari, obviously, and I think because the silhouettes really don't do much other than just show what the weapon is, I think you can't really say too much about that being just a Sylvari. I do think it's very possible that it's a Warden. That's probably one of the more possible ones, but I don't think that this is proof of that. I would say that this is just showing that it's a hammer with Ranger for the most part. We really need to see more to really tell what it's going to be. So, yeah, and we kind of already knew that was hammer. So this doesn't really tell me too much.
Yeah.
But it's possible that it's a Warden. Because, I mean, they always show Sylvari Ranger, right? Don't they? So it's not like... I mean, it could have been Warden last time. So what's different now?
When I said Juggernaut, though, I think I meant the Kurzik Juggernauts. The big, large, mobile plant constructs?
I don't think it's that because
No, it's not, because it's a person.
A little bit more...
I mean, it could be interesting, though, and I have to say, Boots, I think you could maybe be onto something, because Warden, although I would say that to me, like I mentioned before, Jeb made us actually do an intro and have a podcast formally. Warden is something that I thought would always just be kind of like a no-brainer Elite Spec edition. But with all of this kind of foresty imagery that they have with this teaser, it could be a reference to the Ekevald Forest, and it could have something to do with, the Kurzik people and or something there with that forest if they're going for more of an actual, in specifically Cantha, a reference for an Elite Spec like they have with most of the others.
Sorry, I just read chat and Cassie was like, the pet is the hammer. It's just that would actually be interesting.
There is one thing here, though. Okay, so I don't see any bunnies, and that disappoints me.
I'm very sorry.
Wait, why would that? What?
So it's probably not going to be called the Bunny Thumper.
Okay, like Noxie kind of already said.
But I would say that on the head... It looks like, I guess it's a Sylvari, but what's that traily thing? I guess that's the Sylvari hair, eh? That little,
I think it's just a little
traily thing. Because it could be a horn, and that would lead towards the
That's
Warden.
a hairstyle, yeah. That's one of the Sylvari hairstyles.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, well.
It is interesting that with Ranger, they didn't show anything like an iconic creature with it or something. And it's kind of tough coming off of Catalyst, which also featured Hammer. I'm sort of sitting here going, how are they going to use this in a unique way? How is this going to be something that feels kind of cool? And I like the idea of maybe subverting the pet thing and having something more with the idea of, I don't know, manipulating nature, kind of leaning into something there. But the pet is such an integral part of Ranger that it feels like we have to know what's happening with the pet function for us to understand this, unless they decided to just go completely rogue and they're like, you don't use pets in this one, only vines that you roll around in. You put glue all over yourself and then you roll around in some vines, and now you've done it.
Honestly, I think you might be right. Also, based on the naming convention of all the Elite Specs so far, I don't think it's going to be called Warden or Juggernaut. It'll probably be called something like Wayfarer or something like that.
Well, they did use Druid. And Druid is something very tied to the lore, so they can be very literal with it, I think.
In the past, they have been. They have been in the past.
Yeah. They generally don't do things that are like very obvious in lore, though. They kind of go out there, kind of like Vindicator, Catalyst. These are things that are kind of like new. But yeah, the Druid was definitely something that was already kind of established in Guild Wars lore. So it's very possible that the Warden is a thing, but is like, if you think about the Warden lore, isn't a Warden just like a humanoid fused with a spirit? So if it is a warden, the mechanic would be spirits. So I guess ritualist. Is it a ritualist?
It's a soul spirit soul.
Like it could just be
I mean, Spirit Soul would be kind of interesting, especially given the fact that we know that spirits apparently are going to be playing a much larger role than I ever thought because of what we just saw in the city with the preview. But I think as well, I'm looking to see, are the Sylvari Warden, because Sylvari Warden are a specific faction that protect and maintain order in the Maguma jungle, are they also fused with spirits in that sense? Or I think they're just their own faction, right? Just their own group.
I think that's a different thing. Like the warden in the forest are like a specific kind of like creature, and then the Sylvari warden are just like the protectors of the grove, I think.
So this is what you're thinking. This is very specific to a race, rather than it's a more of a, and it comes from like a race or from like a specific area, rather than it is a more general kind of this is a class kind of thing. Or is that he's going to have that specific influence? Because do the others have maybe specific influence?
Yeah, I don't think any of the other teasers really did that. It was just kind of like the class and the weapon, right?
Yeah, that's what makes me think that it is probably not. But that's just, a theory and an idea. It's just, not necessarily
my biggest guess compared to the others would be something to do with the Echovault Forest. You know what I mean? If they wanted to tie it that way, because while the others
that makes sense.
Thematically don't all, 100% represent just something, right? We did have representation with Luxon and Kurzix, with Revenant, at least with like the heroes. We do know that technically Willbenders are protectors of the Canthan throne and Emperor in history, and now they've kind of become more assassins. So it seems like they've really had a focus specifically on the lore and region. Same goes for Harbinger, which is supposed to be people who are using, the Jade technology, but in alchemy, and or Jade as a resource in alchemy. So my guess would be that yes, this somehow does tie into lore specifically from Cantha, and Echovault makes sense to me with all of the leaves everywhere.
That makes more that makes sense, more specific to the expansion, like you say, because of the Kurzix, because of the Revenant. Yes, like that.
And I would say that probably that means that this character of some kind will draw its power from possibly Amber.
Maybe.
Amber, do you mean Jade or the Jades?
No, Amber, the Echovault Forest Amber that the Juggernauts were powered on.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that stuff, so.
But we did just get thematically representation of that in oh my gosh, my brain's shorting out for a second.
Had some Jade stuff.
Blamurai is Amber. So Blamurai Blamurai is what I call it, and for the life of me right now I cannot remember the name. Sword sworn.
That's the one.
Blade Sworn. You mean the blades? Sword Sworn.
I'm sorry. I call it Blamurai.
How many things do you call it, Rick? Because I don't know the name of it anymore. Good Lord. Sword Sworn, Blade, Blorn. I don't know.
Bladeborn, the new elite spec coming for Warrior.
Yes, Bannersworn could be a thing, my friend. I wouldn't knock it. I mean, that could be a thing.
Its entire foundational thing is based off of the Amber. So what it's using and powering is Amber.
Yeah. So are they Kurzix, the Bladesworns?
No, I don't
actually know if they specifically.
Yeah, I think that they use the Amber, which is harvested and relevant to the Kurzix people, but I don't know if they themselves are like a
human thing. Like not a human thing, but like a Kaining kind of like city thing where like they
So do you think that it's that Kaining is exploiting the Echovault Forest and the Kurzix aren't really involved anymore, or something else?
That'd be interesting. Or maybe they are exporting the Amber as, a means to just financial gain. I don't know.
Maybe. I can definitely see this being like, because like a lot of the specs they've just revealed are like, oh, we're using Jade magic. I could see this being a kind of like a pushback to that, and like, no, you're hurting the forests, like, because that's what the wardens are. They're kind of like they it got angry that people were harming the forest, right? So maybe the warden, if this is the warden spec, it could be like kind of like the balance that is like, well, we're rejecting the jade technology and we're sticking to the, you know, the natural kind of environment.
How do you think?
Because it's a ranger, right? I mean, that makes sense as well with the class. Like this makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
This all very much invokes like a lot of nature. Like you see all the plant in the trail over there. You see a thorny thing, and I think that's Sylvaria racial armor they're basically wearing. What do you think? How do you think Melandru and possibly even Mordramoth played into or play into this lore for this spec?
I mean,
Does it need to?
Yeah.
I mean, they did say back in one of the streams that they looked at the death of every Elder Dragon, everything that was happening in Corteria, and saw how it would affect Cantha, and basically drew a line as to how it affects each event, how it affects. So Mordramoth dying definitely had an effect on Cantha. Does it have effect on these rangers who are very nature focused?
oh, I mean, we had the other dragons, didn't we, dying, and the bubbles going all the way over to Camphor, right? So, I mean, is that going to affect it as well? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I mean, maybe, but like this is like, I mean, what I think, I guess where my head goes to when I'm looking at this is thinking about, you know, and like we've thought about all the other things, like what is this going to be? What is it going to do? What role is it going to fill? What role is it going to fill in PvE? What role is it going to fill in PvP, world v world, whatever, and that is the, I guess, the lore stuff is very, very cool. I think the base, I'm just like, what the hell is it going to do? Like, what is it? It
feels a little early to speculate just on this picture what role it's going to play.
No,
PvE,
why not?
PvP,
Why not? We've done
well.
it before. We've absolutely done it before. That's what these teasers are about, though. That's what I love doing, like taking this one picture and being like, okay, what can you do? Because it doesn't matter if you're wrong, does it? Because it creates conversation.
Well, when the Ellie hammer came out, I was like, I think it's going to be great with lightning rod and have a lot of CC, but I was wrong about that. And I still want to say CC with this as well, but I might be wrong about that as well.
I mean, if we look at other stuff that kind of, I think, evokes similar imagery, the first thing that came to mind for me was Druid's Entangle. So the idea of something with CC or with vines or entangling vines or stuff like that is interesting. If we also look at some of the other classes that they've done where they've done some mobility. I mean, we talked about today that new mechanic with the like pulling or, you know, the tethering and stuff during the event where, you know, it's this like, you know, we've got this chain and I'm going to pull it along. They could do something where maybe you can use those to almost like a Spider-Man style vine yourself to people and like move around.
Actually, yeah, that gave me an idea. Like, you know how they had more and more the stuff that you were carrying, the slower you get. Maybe that could be the trade-off. It would be like you summon these spirits, and the more spirits you have out, the stronger you are, but the slower you are.
Wow.
That would be interesting.
More spirits on Ranger? Do you want more spirits on Ranger?
Yeah,
do you really want spirits on Ranger? Like, I mean, Petting Zoo started coming to my mind. You know, PAX West, like 2016 or whatever it was. I'm just like PvP. I'm like, not do we want?
Yeah, bro, people only use 2 spirits usually in raids. We got to make them use all 5 slots.
I mean,
spirits.
I'm talking about old school PvP,
really mate. You don't need to move, right? You can just stack on the boss, right?
Exactly.
Oh my god, the Petting Zoo. Do you guys remember that? Does anyone remember that? Fallon must remember that. You must remember
but they don't necessarily need to be what's it called? Like units, right? They could be spirits that you can't interact with.
Like gyros or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think something like that would be neat.
It doesn't have to necessarily be bad.
You're smiling as you're saying it though. So like that makes me think that you're already there and you're just like, it doesn't have to be bad.
I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. At least at launch.
Everyone, we got Valen smiling. I'm done. That's the good thing.
I'd love a bunch of spirits. I'd be down. I do wonder with the weapon if they're going to do something very different than what they did with Catalyst. Like if we see Catalyst using hammer more melee, then maybe this will be something where it's ranged, or you know, if you're slamming your hammer down, or if we're talking about pet, I kind of liked the idea of a transformative pet. Like maybe we just have one pet now, and that pet is some sort of weird plant thing, and that plant thing can cover your body or turn into different weapons.
You said that there was no pet in the picture. Like, what do you think that? You said that was one of the first things you said, Rick. So is that necessarily? Do you think that picture is indicative of maybe what a pet? Again, this is just spitballing out into the distance. Like, no idea. But like, I like everyone's different ideas on what's going on. Like, what do you think that means? Like, because that was something you noted, and it's just like, yeah, it's not there, and that's the main mechanic of the class. Like, what is the pet? Like, is it gonna be
maybe that is the mechanic, the whatever that thing is behind them, that like tree or like bush, maybe
the
that
grass.
is the mechanic.
The grass. Your pet is now the grass around you. And,
or is that what that is, or is that just not the color
I think all the
floaty thing
silhouettes have
behind
been very literal, right? Because the Virtuoso just had the blades above them, the Catalyst.
But they all had a kind of like a painterly stroke to them. They all had like an extra little stroke of paint on them. Yeah.
That one does seem particularly detailed, though, right? And it does make me wonder if it is going to lean into something more again. Right, the general summary of Ranger being Rangers rely on a keen eye, a steady hand, and the power of nature itself. So it's interesting because I do feel like thematically, Druid very much leans into that, right? Where I think that of the three of them, that's more so the one, or that of the two that exist, that's more so the one where I'm like, oh yeah, that definitely feels like nature. You're summoning these tree spirits and you're doing all this kind of stuff, but we haven't necessarily seen them like use the elements of nature just as a full focus for an elite spec. And that just be the thing where, yeah, like you literally are slinging thorns at your enemies, or making things burst up from the ground, or vines, or leaves, I don't know, leaf cover.
That's actually the one thing I was thinking about when I saw this picture, and it was that I'm looking forward to an animation where it's a teleport skill, kind of like Sandswell, but it's like you meld with the ground and then you come out viney with the ground somewhere else.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean it's doable. but it's not that exciting. But it's like what I see in this picture.
So I could see something like that. And if they do really want to subvert the expectations of the class, having it not involve a pet in some way would be very interesting. I feel like you'd have to have an additional mechanic that would be fun, though, to kind of give you that same sense of, I guess, duality in how you play with Ranger when I think about it. Although you're not, directly controlling your pets, those different kind of skills, abilities, and things that they bring to the table feel like an accompaniment to the class. So you'd want to have something that would still make this all feel, I think, satisfying and rounded out compared to other Rangers.
So if you do get rid of the pet, if we're saying that they're not going to have a pet right now, what do you do with all the traits that do stuff to pets?
The spirits.
I mean, soul beasts is the thing right now, so
yeah, I know they did stuff with the traits. They did. I mean, they had a pet too, soul beast, right?
Technically, I mean, I guess then you just. That's interesting as well. That's a very good point.
Something to think about, anyway.
I'm having trouble thinking of what it is because Rook was trying to explain like the vines and stuff like that, and I kept just thinking, oh, it's like magic ranger, but then that's Druid.
Druid, yeah.
Druid has staff and the celestial avatar, and are they gonna do that again? So I'm not too convinced that that's what it's gonna be, but it does sound cool. But yeah, I don't know, maybe they probably want to differentiate a little bit more. Like the soul beast is sort of like this primal kind of thing, and then Druid is like nature, being in tune, being balanced. So what could be like the third thing that is they're gonna do?
I have an idea for you, Valen, based off of your spirit idea. Are you ready? Okay. You didn't say yes, but I'm gonna assume that you are. So
I'm gonna say yes for him.
Thank you, Boots. Thank you. This gives me momentum to keep going. There is an idea, and again, I think they've drawn really generally. We actually talked about this while we were watching, but I think they've drawn really generally on East Asian culture as an inspiration point, of course, which we cannot make just one thing. It is not a monolith. There's a ton of different cultures and people represented, but particularly within the concept of like Japanese mythology, going back to like Shinto beliefs and things like that, the idea of kami being essentially spirits that inhabit various places, natural aspects, elements, that kind of thing. they could do something where we did almost I guess a sort of ritualist-esque, but where you are instead like evoking or channeling the different spirits of natural elements. So things like the spirit of this tree or the spirit of this, the water, or the spirit of, and you obviously wouldn't want to get into like elementalist territory, but I think they could do something like that where there might be kind of natural spirits or energies that they have envisioned within the land that maybe this particular new elite spec would be able to tap into, and that would kind of function as your, I guess, pets in a sense, those energies or spirits specifically, and then the way that you use them would maybe be something more active as a part of your gameplay, where you were actually unleashing their power as opposed to just like putting them around the arena for a variety of effects.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, instead of having a pet that's out permanently, you would have spirits, and then the spirits just, you would still, instead of having a pet attack on your F2, you just summon a spirit with that attack. So you could have like F1 is like spirit of the wild, F2 is spirit of the nature or something like that. Nature. And those could still work with the pet traits, right? Like there's traits that scale with F2. Whenever you do your F2, right, it does like weakness or taunt or whatever, right? And it could make your spirits then do weakness or taunt.
Now hold on a second. I got to bring up something real quick. There are 3 class icons left. One is the Oni looking mask, and we assume that that's for thief, right? Then there's one.
Are you linking this to the ideas they're having right now?
What?
Are you linking this to the ideas that they're having right now? I just want to know that we finished that conversation or not.
It's about the pet conversation.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if I need to say anything else on that conversation. Okay. I think
it's so, and then there's the golem looking one, large juggernaut golem looking one, which we're guessing is probably engineer golemancer, right?
That's my guess.
Yeah. Now there's one left, and it looks like a beast of some kind. So.
Well,
this ranger doesn't look like a beast of some kind.
It looks armored in a way.
Yeah, and I think that's what brings me back to Warden Juggernaut kind of combo with this. I think it's going to be tanky, carapace ranger.
I can actually see that now. Yeah.
It's very interesting that both of you say that, because when I look at it, I actually see something more like a leaf mask, like an animalistic leaf mask. This is going to sound really weird, but particularly the film that came to mind for me was Princess Mononoke, which is a Miyazaki film for anybody who doesn't know. There are these like little spirits of the forest that have these like perfectly round little eyes, and they have this kind of like, there's this very specific look to them that the mask kind of reminds me of. I mean, I could absolutely see it being
the icon where I can't see it right now. Does anyone have a link to it?
I'll try to find them.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get it up on the screen as well.
So it does look like it could kind of be something like, I don't know, to me, like a mask or a look of, I guess, a ritualistic.
If you got it. All right, yeah, lovely. Thank you, chat as well.
Like a ritualistic mask or something that reminds me a bit of at least those representations, which again are just, a totally spontaneous, possibly completely unconnected thing. But
yeah, it kind of does look like an arrowhead now that I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah,
a leaf or an arrowhead.
Kind of does look like an arrowhead.
Just grab this link.
Maybe I'm looking too.
But it also looks like an animal, right?
Yeah,
with
it definitely looks like some sort of creature.
A broad nose, some kind of lion-y kind of thing.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say that they're gonna have some kind of pet.
There you go. Forgot to change it
over. I feel like I'm looking at an optical illusion or something now. There's like so many things that it could be.
The one on the far right, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that is very. Because I see what you're saying with the eyes, Rook, and then it does look like a nose. And you're talking about the movie I was mentioning.
It looks a lot like a war beast face, frankly.
And
I mean, yeah, it could totally be. Like I said, it called to mind for me like the imagery of the Lord of the Forest from Princess Mononoke, or the spirits that are like the spirits of the forest.
I mean, you
So-
might be right on, it's like spot on with that, actually.
I mean, this is again just I honestly could just as much see something thematically like you were saying with Juggernaut, especially with it already having lore precedent in the game. It's just something that kind of came to mind that like there, at least in that film, there is this embodiment of the spirit of the forest, this Lord of the Forest, which is kind of, I guess you could say, the Kami of the forest. Although again, I don't have any reference in front of me, so this is just me speaking off the top of my head. But that like is an animalistic creature in when it manifests. And then throughout the rest of the forest, there are these different spirits that are like the elements of all the different, things that make up the forest, like the trees and the water and so I don't know if that could be maybe where they draw some of that from, but it would kind of fit with the forest theme. It would be very interesting where maybe you had, I don't know, you have some kind of pact or something with a lord of a forest or the Echovald forest, and you can then wield his powers as your own, or the spirit's powers of the forest. I think that would be the most interesting to me, but who knows?
I tell you what, I sort of thought immediately when I looked at that thing, and this is maybe showing my age, but it looks like the helmet that the He-Man's beast.
Yeah, Battle Cat.
Right, it looks like Battle Cat's helmet. It does. It looks like Battle Cat's helmet. Thank you,
That's why I
Banks.
was
Thank
saying
you.
it looks like. That's why I was saying it looks like a war beast, because a war beast essentially is Battle
right.
Cat from. Yeah.
Thank you.
That would be
Okay.
incredible.
It
I'm
does,
not gonna lie.
It
If
does.
you could just hop on, if you could use your war claw in actual combat as part of your abilities, that would be amazing, and I'd be down for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna find a picture of it.
Oh,
right
there
now.
you go. You no longer have pets with this new ranger, but your mounts are now your pets. And all pets swap. You have 5 or 6 new pets, and they are the mounts, and you can swap between them.
I mean, this kind of thing is not ridiculous.
I would actually be super into that if they did that at some point. I don't know how you would manage it with like everybody being on the mounts as far as visual clutter goes.
Yeah, like the next expansion, they're running out of ideas, so they start doing really crazy stuff where like they allow you to take this elite spec, and then it allows you to take more than one elite spec, and then yeah, at that point we've just thrown everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Just like screw it, this guy. Just trying to find a picture of Battle Cat, which isn't awful because it's so difficult to find apparently. Okay.
Whoa. Hey, Wooden Potatoes, thanks for the raid.
Aye, legend. Thank you, mate.
Legend.
There you go. There's the Battle Cat.
Tell us, Wooden Potatoes chat, what was he talking about? Did he have any good questions, or is he here actually?
No, Beach doesn't want to talk to us on the podcast anymore. He just wants to talk to the chat of Wooden Potatoes because of the raid.
Well, I want to know, because I do want to know if he had like any insights about first of all, the ranger, and that we could touch on maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not, so you don't think it's a Battle Cat then?
Boots. I just found something that might support your Juggernaut idea. I just found
Okay,
that.
ready. I'm ready.
So going back to Guild Wars 1 lore, I've got a bunch of tabs up, this is how it works in the background. There are special trees that are mentioned. The Forever trees are special trees found in the Eternal Grove that can transform Kurziks into Juggernauts in a ceremony known as the Awakening.
Hey.
That was also something that the Vindicator had, because there was the Alliance stance, right? The Kurzik version had a skill called Tree Song, and those are related to tree singers who are based in that like whole ritual of creating the Juggernauts.
There you
It's
go.
up
Well,
right here. Yeah.
so, but the interesting thing is this guy obviously is not a full-on Juggernaut, though, right? He's not the old. So he probably found, instead of the Forever tree, the For a Very Long Time tree instead.
Oh my gosh.
It just kind of went partially there, halfway there.
I could see that. Or maybe they're tree singers, which would also be really unique. The idea there that maybe we thought we were going to be getting that with Virtuoso, the music element, but actually this whole element's going to be about hitting things with hammers to a sick drum beat and singing songs to trees, which would be really good.
Amazing.
So isn't that more of a shamanist? Is that kind of close to a shaman, kind of, in a way? Or is that, would you say? Or is it like a...
Kind of. Yeah, I think shamans draw on spirits, right? And totems, spirit totems.
Totems. Ooh.
It's interesting. It just says tree singers are Kurziks who protect and empower the forever trees. Their songs that they sing, the songs of Arboreum, serve to keep the forever trees from dying and must be sung annually. Sorry, we have thunder rolling by in the distance, so I don't know if you can hear it on my microphone, but it's about to rain. So yeah, it could be something with that. I could see that sort of ritualistic at the very least.
Yeah, I'm just getting like a Kersey feel. I'm getting a forest juggernaut warden feel, but that I think you're right that it definitely should tie into spirits of the forest kind of deal as well. It all kind of draws from that anyway.
So if this is the case, utilities, what would it be? What would it have? What would it have as utilities? What would it be? I want to know ideas. Because we're going to be doing the same with the thief in a minute. Like, this is the idea of why one of the reasons why Valen's here as well. So we're going to be doing this stuff because like they've got thief expert here as well. So we're doing it now. Meditations.
I'm going to say songs. I'm going to say a new one. Songs if we're going true singer.
I mean, they definitely could.
Just shouts.
What was the virtuoso one called? Oh no, the F abilities were blade songs.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not
I guess a shout would be like instantaneous, and then a song would be like a channel.
Yeah. Ranger already has shout though too, unfortunately. So yeah, songs would be nice.
I mean, we know that they don't care about, bringing back previous ones so that we can have rune sets and fun times like that. So, it doesn't matter.
Maybe it's just
new
bard.
ones are fine. Sorry?
Maybe it's just a bard.
Yeah, this is
Dude, it's a bard. I'm switching to Ranger.
When I look at that picture, that's the first thing I think of. I think bard.
That's not actually a hammer. That's a
Long
musical
flute.
instrument right there.
What musical instrument is that, Valen?
It's a mallet for what's it called?
Like a huge
xylophone. A xylophone or a
It's
gong.
a xylophone. How big is the xylophone? Jesus, if that's how big the hammer is.
It's the forever xylophone.
Yes, you summon up, like, the plants come up and they just create little, like, wooden xylophone keys, and then you just whack them with your...
Oh, like the Christmas event. Like, I mean, I don't know. We're reaching. This is what we do on the LightBringers. We reach as far as we can reach. Okay, so that is exciting, though. We did have the teaser. Unfortunately, it means the engineer is last, and I have a sad face because I just want to know.
Again, they're saving the best for last. They're obviously going to reveal it last because it is the greatest spec ever invented in the history of Guild Wars 2.
Absolutely.
And just as a note for everyone that came in as well, I know Boots probably, may know, but Rook, I'm not sure about everyone in terms of leaks. I know nothing about the leaks. The only thing I did know was with the Ranger, unfortunately. And that person who told me is in the chat, cheeky bugger.
Who is it?
I don't know anything. So if anyone knows,
right?
don't say anything. It's Bobor. I rated it. It was like started talking about the leaks. I was like, no, I don't want to know, because otherwise, like podcast and stuff, it would mess with my head. So if anyone does know anything, give it away over there. Your accent with Boots' voice is velvety symphony that Rook and Valen ride gloriously on. That is a very interesting take. I love it, and I've never quite been described as that before. So it's okay.
You need to make that the caption of the podcast, like the description of the podcast.
It's a bit long-winded, but I can try and edit it down, I guess. Could someone just clip that? I don't know how we do that. There is no chat in the thing. It's just very glorious wordage. Reader audio. Epic mod. So, right. Let's do this. Okay, we've got about an hour and a half. So let's talk a little bit about Guild Chat, which just had on as well. Unless there's anything anyone else wanted to say about the Ranger teaser. We go on about it for about half an hour. It looks exciting.
We had another teaser.
We did. We're going to talk about that as well. I just wanted to sandwich it with the Guild Chat just for a little bit. But the one thing I will say about this is the fact that it is a hammer again. So that means engineer, it could be one of the weapons we've already seen. So there is not like this thing where they're like, it has to be something completely different to the other specs. It can be a hammer. Let's just maybe
that happened with Daredevil and Druid anyways in Heart of Thorns.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. So keep them with that same kind of thing. But maybe hopefully let's feel like, maybe it's a little bit more fleshed out than Catalyst, maybe. I mean, you never know.
Like
Hopefully.
Catalyst is kind of there, it needs a little bit of polishing, and then I think sort of adjusted.
Yes.
I like the concept.
It's like the dough hasn't quite been, it hasn't been left in there for long enough. Yeah.
I actually felt that the Catalyst was one of the more diverse. Like, obviously, it needs a lot of work, but it allowed the most diverse play styles. So I feel like it'll be really good when it's actually.
That's the thing. Potential
I
is
love
there.
the potential.
There is a lot to that. They could have cut out a couple of mechanics or cut a couple of different things, and it probably would have been done. But I think there's a lot to it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing, but I think, like you say, it could be in a place where hopefully down the line, we've still got months to go. Still got the months to go till Feb. And obviously, that could have been an old beta version as well. So it could have even been in a better place, to be honest, when they actually released it anyway. So
Ruby was actually playing Catalyst today, and I was looking at her skills to see if they changed it, but I didn't notice anything.
Yeah. I'm wondering how old that build is as well that they're playing.
But she was doing really well. She wasn't dying at all.
They were managing that 1 HP.
Which is strange for a Catalyst, right?
Yeah.
So they must have changed some things.
Okay, I'm sorry, Boots. When we were all playing live, regardless of how much of a hot mess my rotation might have been trying to do the things I was trying to do, many times on Catalyst was the last one trying to res everybody.
That's actually very true. That is very true. Well put there, actually. Fine. All right. Well.
Yes. But yes, I'm good. I'm all of the joking and bantering aside. I'm good to move on. I like the concept.
I'm good to move on. As long as you're okay, Rick, then we'll go forward.
I am good. Let's continue the podcast. Everybody else, get on board or get off the boat, and I'll leave you behind in the water. So
it's okay. And as well, thank you, Wood and Potatoes, for the massive raid. That is massively appreciated. Also, one of our awesome other podcast guests is in the chat as well. Kroof is here. Kroof is over there.
Kroof!
There we go.
Okay.
So in the chat as well, I want you to tell me your favorite thing from the guild chat today about Shing Jea, what you enjoyed the most. Let me know. I want to hear your feedback, and then we can also talk about those things as well, because that would help me a lot. So there was lots of cool stuff. The general feel of the area we will talk about first. How did it look? How did it feel? Does it give you the idea? Does it give you this general thought and feeling of, oh, this is an expansion, brand new, bright, beautiful area, or this feels new and different, or does it feel very similar to what we've already been walking through the previous expansion / original game? Anyone
I think
want
it's
to
gorgeous.
chime in? Gorgeous?
No,
Okay.
I think it's gorgeous. And I think one of the things that Guild Wars 2 does so well with its designs are its color palettes and the attention to detail and just realizing zones, right? It was funny because when the broadcast actually started, we talked a little bit about the fact, the age of the game, and obviously they're doing upgrades now to DX11. But I think that the artistic style and direction of Guild Wars 2 has always been so strong that regardless of other games that might be coming out that have much higher graphical capabilities, I think that the world and realm and everything in Guild Wars 2 is still really gorgeous and timeless in a sense because that artistic direction is so strong. And personally, I feel the exact same in this city. I love the layers of different colors, the natural elements with everything from the trees to the cherry blossom petals that are drifting to the hanging lanterns to all of the little environmental details, that sort of progression from the higher elevation down towards the harbor. Again, it's just creating these layers of depth and color and interest that create a vibrant, memorable world that's unique to this expansion. So I think it was a huge success.
Yeah, every once in a while, it was hard for me when he was moving around and fighting the different things to really get a grasp of how the whole thing looked. But every once in a while he'd stop, and then you'd see the falling cherry blossoms, and you'd see in the distance just like a beautiful landscape, and then if you looked to the side, sometimes you'll see the layers of the town going up along the mountainside. So when I got a chance to really look at them and appreciate it, it was very nice, and I'm looking forward to it because I kind of miss that. I really enjoyed when I traveled to Japan, and I kind of reminiscent of that, and I kind of want to go back there, but I can't right now because of COVID.
That's a good point. Has anyone been to I guess more of these regions that that Shing Jea is kind of based on. That's good to hear. Actually, I like that. I like that part. Yeah.
Obviously, not a lot of Japan looks like that right now, but
the influence, like maybe some of the
like the
construction.
shrine. If you go to certain shrines, if you go to different shrine towns or some temple towns, you get that kind of feel again, and it's very pretty.
Nice. Alan?
Yeah, I thought the Shing Jea really gave off the right tone. It's kind of like the starter island. It's not really that dangerous, even though there were kind of like fights going on there. It didn't feel like it was too dangerous because that's kind of how Shing Jea is supposed to feel, right? It's like the peaceful place, and you kind of get that from all the bright colors. Whereas when we go to the mainland, right, you have the city, which is kind of like just all pretty much like sky, and then it's just all like brown, right? And we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen.
We saw a couple of clips. We saw a couple of clips of what I assume is mainland Cantha, because there is like neon signs, I think, in a couple of not clips or like pictures. I'm definitely looking forward to going back in there and seeing how it's changed.
Yeah. So kind of what the point I'm getting at here is, it's a very distinct look to it. Shing Jea is like the peaceful zone. It's the tutorial zone, so it should be. And then, we're going to move on to like the actual more dangerous maps, and then they'll feel a little bit more threatening, creepy. So I think, Shing Jea is kind of, they're creating what they need to create,
Yeah.
So it's done well.
It's still creepy because there is the creepy child, obviously, that Boots mentioned, which was just on screen. I just wanted to make sure we were reminded.
It was tough to get a feel of the scenery when I just had to stare at that creepy child for a while. I'm just like spooked. I had to close my eyes, and I didn't really get to see the rest of it.
I really enjoy Boots' input sometimes. The creepy child, the penis drawing on the portrait, the easel.
I don't think they're gonna let you draw a penis in the end.
I don't think that's gonna be a thing, Boots. I'm sorry.
No, I'm so very sorry. I know that's really what you were hoping for.
There was a little bit of a hope there, but then when they were showing it, I was like, no, it's just lions.
It's okay. You can still do it with Spectral Walk.
Oh yeah, good point. Good point.
That's very true, actually. That's very true. I haven't done that for a long time. Pre-order cancelled. Yeah, it's gone now. No more. Okay, so let me just go back over to some of my notes. Okay. Wow, I can't spell story, right? Apparently. Okay, so there was some stuff they did show us the videos on the background, which kind of helped. They showed us the areas. They showed us. Valen said something actually as well, which is interesting, which we have talked about before. Skiffs taking over boats. And do you think that is? I mean, we may not see skiffs that much. Skiffs taking over boats. Jesus, there's too many words. My head this week, I'll tell you. I've got trauma-informed care in the back of my head, which is just ringing out from my training yesterday in my internship. This is why they added skimmer underwater, right? Because, this otherwise, like what Valen said is true, like the skiff is pretty much taking over the skimmer over land. But is it as fast? Like, just some thoughts about that really from all of you. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think you can see less skimmers kind of on the surface of the water? Are people going to use skiffs? I mean, obviously at the beginning, it's the expansion, right? You got a boat. I mean, he's not going to use a bloody boat. Then we just got this thing. Yeah, any thoughts?
I actually think we'll see more, weirdly enough, because I think
more
right now...
or skiffs, sorry?
Both. I think we're going to see more of both, because I think right now it's one of those things where not that many people really, I don't know, are out on the water doing stuff, right? But in my mind, unless you're just trying to get to a heart, or you're just trying to do a thing, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I can see this being something where now, like more than ever, people are going to be on the water. There are these fishing spots. There are other things. You and your friends are going to go out on boats. You're going to take your skiff out. Maybe you accidentally get left out of the boat, like, happened on stream today. So then you pull out your skimmer, or maybe you're trying to do something underwater. So you just do the same. So I kind of feel like it's going to make the water more of an activity hub than it currently is, personally.
Also, I mean, obviously the skimmers are faster than boats, but there are some times when I'm like map completing or something, and I'm like swimming in the water and I need to climb up on top of like some platform. You can't really climb up on top of it easily. So like the skiff might be, because you're creating like a terrain right out in the world, so it might help you to do jumping puzzles and stuff like that.
Do you think you'll be able to put your hopper, your springer? Do you think you'll be able to like stop your boat, mount your springer on
Like a
top
space
of
hopper.
your skiff,
That's
and then
what
jump?
I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah.
So like you could do the skiff into Springer into
Sky scale.
Sky scale, right? Yeah.
That would be great.
Would be cool.
Sounds like Transformers the way you're talking about. It's just like. Anyway, sorry. That's like nerdy. I think you're all right. Basically, I think basically.
Oh
because
wait, I haven't spoken yet though, so
you
I
did
might be
kind
wrong.
of speak. You spoke just now. You used words. Do you want to add?
About the question of whether or not it's going to replace skimmers.
Yeah. Or addition or what?
Oh, I think for all the new players, it's going to replace skimmers because they said they're going to be getting raptors and
Hoppers,
springers in the in the new maps, but they didn't say they'd be getting skimmers. So I think this is basically the replacement for skimmers for people who only have EOD. Now the question is, are they going to have another option to go underwater as well in EOD without a skimmer? Or are people going to be incentivized to go back and Path of Fire to get a skimmer anyway?
Oots, I think that the alternative way that you can go underwater is called swimming. So if you hop out of the boat and then you swim under the water.
What? I don't know that word. What?
It's when you submerge
Dory
yourself.
said it in that movie.
Boots bad underwater builds.
I got it.
That's never happened.
Yeah.
I say that too soon, but it might happen at some point. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but so the other thing is, I think when we first talked about, like when they did the skimmer reveal, right? We talked about how fast it was going. And I think at its top boosted speed, it was going around the same speed as a skimmer goes, it looked like, kind of.
Wait, a skimmer's going as quick as a skimmer?
Skiff
Okay.
At its top boosted speed.
Definitely going as fast as
How much
itself.
setup does it take for you to get to that speed?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. It's really easy for a skimmer to do that, and it sounds like a skiff is going to be a little bit harder to control, but obviously you get your friends in there. So I think it's going to be the new hotness for a little while. I don't know if it's going to replace a skimmer, though.
It just depends, like how useful, because they're primarily for fishing, right? Skiffs. I mean, they're the bonus to your fishing. So it's like,
exactly.
It just depends on what the behavior is, because I think most people, when they're doing open world, they're kind of just running around, not really thinking too much about like who's around them. They're just kind of like, okay, I need to go here. So they just, what's the best way to get there? So it's usually going to be the skimmer. It's not going to be like, oh, let me go find some people in the town and go recruit them, and then we'll get on my boat and then they'll boost my. No,
Yeah. Unless like it's literally for fishing.
And also the fact that you could put your boat out when you're in the water means that you might just ghost places on your skimmer and then cast your boat out if you need it for some reason.
I am going to fully roleplay. On day one, I'm going to roleplay. I'm going to wear a fishing hat. I'm going to, I'm not going to have my tackle out, but I am going to definitely get on a skiff. And I'm going to be venturing out onto the high seas with some of our guildies from the Joko Guild. And we're going to be, I expect maximum RP, basically. Otherwise, I'm going to be sad.
Jebber, I would advise that you don't take your tackle out on stream. I think it's good.
Oh,
that would be
goodness.
bad. That's going to be the day. That's exactly what I meant, Rook. That's exactly what I meant. And that's the day I transfer over to YouTube. So that's the announcement. There we go. Spoiler. So, okay, we talk about rude stuff on the show. It's just not as blatant, okay? Even entendre and all things. Will you be singing sea shanties? I don't know, because I'm not sure if fishermen had sea shanties. I mean, I think they probably did. They may be different though. You were disgusted. Wooden potatoes is disgusted. Okay.
Fair.
That's interestingly challenging. We need to get wooden potatoes on the show one day as well. We will do. If
So
you
I had
answer
a
your DMs
question.
on Twitter. Sorry, go for it.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say I had a question actually that came to mind while I was thinking about a lot of these mount changes or discussions that got added in, where we mentioned the fact that they're adding in Raptor and then Bringer to be accessible. I'm just curious, how's everybody feeling about that?
Yeah, it's a good
How do
question.
you feel?
Yeah, that's definitely where we're heading.
Mixed thoughts. I think it's fine. Like, honestly, they said they're not giving the masteries for them though, so you have to go into Path of Fire to do the masteries for those, as well as the gliding masteries. So for Heart of Thorns. So I think it's good. When they first announced they're doing a new expansion, my first question was, how are they gonna design the maps? Because are they gonna design the maps with the knowledge that old players will have gliding and mounts already? And if so, what are the masteries going to be in the new expansion that could add to what you're already getting in the old ones? And they answered that question. They have designed them with certain mounts in mind at least, and they're giving those mounts for free to new players. Great.
Yeah, but it makes me believe that the mounts aren't going to be too important, because you still have to go to Path of Fire to get the mastery to canyon jump, to high jump.
Exactly.
So, and that's what I was saying earlier, where I feel like they're going to balance the map design around gliding more so than mounts.
Yeah. But the gliding is also just one mastery,
Gliding
right?
is in there as well, right? But it's not.
It's just the initial mastery. You don't get the infinite gliding, and you don't get like ley line gliding.
You don't really need mastery on the glider.
Nope.
No.
You really don't.
I mean, I guess
especially if you
in
got
Verdant
boosters.
Brink you kind of did, but
Yeah.
I guess updrafts. Yeah, if there were updrafts, you would.
This is more about water, isn't it? And then this is more about the water, and you're going to be using a brand new mount. So you're going to be using a new mount anyway. So there's going to be a lot of options where I feel like the turtle as well is keep forgetting about this thing is going to be some kind of amphibious thing. It's got to be, right? I mean, I kind of want it to be going on the water as well. I'm hoping it does. Maybe. I don't know.
What you mean? As in, like, you can swim it out into the water?
Yeah, on your shell. You're
Amphibious?
gonna be a shell on the water, and it's gonna be exactly like Super Mario Brothers. Pretty
No,
much.
bro, I
Just
do
a
not want to
spinning
crush your Super Mario Brothers dreams because you look so happy and excited about it. But I do not think this turtle's gonna go in the water.
Well, I just think like Rook is trying to ruin my dreams and thoughts, and it should be banned from the podcast.
Sorry, not all type turtles. and
Kroof isn't
tortoises-
here, okay? Kroof was fired. There is no, don't push me.
No immunity.
No, but there is
sorry,
no
you're right,
immunity.
You're right. The turtle mat is definitely going to be able to go on the water, and I believe it with my whole heart.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're right, Rick. I don't think it's probably going to happen.
I still think that if we're getting a boat for on top of water and they're not giving us skimmers, they're going to give us something for underwater.
Skimmers go underwater.
Didn't they give us the speed?
Skimmers do, but
What was the
nothing in
swimming
EOD
speed?
does yet.
Didn't we get the infusion?
You can swim your own body under the water.
I ain't putting my body in water anymore.
Yeah, but you do anyway when you're on the skimmer underwater. So you're not in some kind of weird shell. You're still underwater. You're just riding a skimmer underwater.
I roleplay that my skimmer eats me, and then I cut myself out of it every time I get out.
But
yeah.
That doesn't work.
I love you so much.
Good Lord.
Really good to know. Really good to
Sorry.
know. Has nothing to do with anything, but it's so good to know. And I'm gonna add this into my boots lore now. I honestly agree with all of you. Going back to the question, I agree. I think that it's smart.
So you
I
do
agree.
agree with Tails.
Sorry.
I understand.
I agree with everything. I agree with everything except for Jebra saying that war turtles are going to go in water, and Boots saying that canonically you cut yourself out of the skimmer every time you come up back to the surface.
So you
let me make
disagree with
on the wiki.
75%, like with 50% of what was said by other, well, technically it's
Sure, yeah,
75%,
right.
like, you know. 60.
Well, that's because
And-
about 75% of it was absolute nonsense. So the rest of
But-
it.
The Tauntaun skimmer thing is on the wiki, and if it's not on the wiki, I'm putting it on the wiki now.
You can add it. I mean, it might get edited by someone else, but you can add it and it'll be there for a bit. So technically, you're not wrong until it's edited. You know, fake news and all that.
I just can't. I agree. I think it's great. I
It's
think
like
that
I'm normally on like other podcasts that are just more sensible than this, and well, maybe not. But carry on.
welcome to the Lightbringers.
Yeah. Just talk bollocks
I agree.
all the
I
time.
do think that it's nice to have those in there. I think that it makes mobility and all that kind of stuff way more accessible for people. I mean, I don't really feel like it affects, right, the rewards you feel like you would have had to earn, or you have to play the game to get the things that you deserve, because there are still so many mounts that people are absolutely going to be going back to play those expansions for. The Griffin, the Sky Scale, I think it would have been very different for me if they had just been like, you get a free Sky Scale, because then I would have sat there like, why?
The different voices of Rook in 1 minute. You get a sky scale. He's just like different voice acting in like 4 sentences. Just like, so what are you doing?
I'm acting this scene out so that everybody feels immersed in the experience of what this would have been.
I've got
like.
a voice changer. You just need Rook in the background, just doing different voices.
You're right though, Rogue. They did it cleverly.
I did.
They balanced the tightrope of giving people what they need to have to be able to design maps, knowing that people have these things, without making them not worth what they used to be worth, at least.
On the note of moving on, which I just said, so we're doing it. There was also, I feel like we're gonna get stuck, and we're not going to talk about FIFA at all. I'm going to talk about two more things that are major from that. The training area, good or bad? Obviously, it's probably quite good. And go, someone. Training area.
I don't think there's anything bad with it. How could it be bad?
It's just a
Only
question.
good.
Yeah. Is it good or bad? That's it.
Yeah, I think it was cool. I was actually, for a really long time, I was saying that from Guild Wars 1, the training arena, where you go in and depending on what class you were playing, you would have like different missions. And like if you were playing Assassin, there would be a mission where you learn how to use caltrops, and it puts you in this like quest where you have to like kill this NPC that's running away from you. So you use caltrops to slow it down. And I was saying that should be used in Guild Wars 2 when they do Shing Jea. So now seeing maybe not as elaborate as the Guild Wars 1 version, but seeing a version of it is I like it.
It's long been something the game kind of needed for new players. It's just a little weird that this is the only place it is in the game at level 80 for one expansion. So I like it there, and I like that it exists. I like that there is a breakbar tutorial in the game right now with End of Dragons. It would be nice if, I mean, at this point, I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, are new players going to just buy the core game? Or are new players or not buy the core, get the core? Yeah, people are going to get the core game for free probably before buying End of Dragons sometimes, right? So I think it should exist somewhere near the starting zones as well, that kind of thing.
Was this an island? It wasn't, was it? Or was it an island? I can't remember.
Shing Jea?
No,
It
was
was
this
on
separate?
Shing Jea Island.
This is on the island,
Yes.
right? This isn't a separate little island. It's just part of Shing Jea. Okay. So
Yeah.
I just had some thoughts coming into my head, and I was like, okay. So there are MMORPGs now where you basically, your level doesn't matter, and the stuff around you scales to your level. Okay. We've still got a level down there. We've still got masteries, everything else, and because it's not about level progression in terms of vertical, it's all horizontal, it's all masteries. Thoughts, and I don't think this is going to be the case, but I mean, in terms of, you've got in Guild Wars 2, you've got down leveling, so you get down scaled. I just wonder, they're breaking all the rules, they're changing things. There's a quote that they said. Is it a possibility with this training mode here, that this training area is here as well, that this might not be technically a level 80 area? it might actually just be an area which you just play and it's just scaled to your own character.
Oh, and
maybe you can just be a level 1
so
character.
you think that it's only 80, like the NPCs were level 80 because the people there were level 80?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a thought. It's just an idea. It's probably not, because they did have 80 on them, right? Because so that they wouldn't have that otherwise. But I was just thinking, it could be quite cool, but it's probably not the case. But
yeah, like let's say you buy End of Dragons. You're level 1. You decide you don't want to use a level 80 boost. Mm-hmm. Where do you start? Do you start in the core story at your like, you know, Holbrack or whatever if you're Norn, or do you start at this Shing Jea Island at level 1 and do the training first? No, I think you start at your Holbrack, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is here that, because we talked even during the stream, right, about the larger discussion of how story narrative is designed, and or the idea of certain games that maybe have created more modular, separate, but still connected in clever ways, kind of storytelling experiences, right? That is very much not Guild Wars 2. Like Guild Wars 2, although it does allow you the freedom, right? So technically, yes, when you hit that cap, you can choose Path of Fire or Heart of Thorns. You can go wherever you want. You can get a mount and then go back in, which I think is great to have that flexibility for people who want to. But the story itself is a linear narrative. Like, it's structured as a linear narrative where if you want the coherent tale, you do have to play through it. And within the actual lore context of the world, right, Cantha has been closed for ages since Zaitan brought the city back up and the water flooded with all kinds of undead pirate ships and all sorts of things. Nobody's been able to really get there. And also with some of the policies the last Emperor or Emperor Soku made, it's been very much shuttered to the rest of the world. So lore-wise, I don't see any way they could actually justify doing this. But from the standpoint of just telling new players, right? Like if I say to new players, oh, hey, get from 1 to 80, get to your max level. And then if you want and you feel like you need more information, you've got your skill kit, you can pop in for the very beginning and go to this area and there's, tutorials and all kinds of stuff there. Technically, I can say that to them. I'm guessing. I could also say, go get your mount if you really want. Do I think that makes for, again, the best flow naturally in the game? No, like, I just don't. But I think this training area is super helpful, super useful. I don't necessarily think the story absolutely demands that you know all these things in order just to get through it. So I think that players very feasibly can get through the whole story and maybe not understand completely how break bars work or things like that. So this is a good way to polish that up. Would I also like to see them take those mechanics and then at some point put them into an arena in like Lion's Arch now that they've developed them, so that when you organically get to a high enough level, you'd be able to do anything regarding those? You can actually just do it right there? Yes, like I absolutely would, because I do think that having that at multiple places throughout the game ensures redundancies where people have the chance to engage with it if they want to, whether they're playing linearly or they're playing jumping around,
I agree with you entirely. And I just wanted to say, I like to think of it this way. So I'm happy that this training area is now in the game. I'm happy that we now finally have a break bar tutorial in the game. I like to think of it as the devs said, you know what? We're 9-10 years into the game. I think it's time all of our players learn about break bars. So let's put it here, where they have to walk past it at least to go to the rest of the story of our End of Dragons, and that way we could, without fear, design instances and story instances that have break bars.
Yeah, and I think they should just copy paste all of the mechanics and do that for every expansion. So like in Path of Fire, they could have in Amnoon Oasis, they'll just have maybe like, just change the theme, but keep the same mechanics, teach the same things. Heart of Thorns, they could have, maybe the Pact is like sparring at the crash site or whatever, and you just have the same mechanics, teach people how to do it everywhere. Because,
maybe
they should all be standalone expansions, right?
Maybe they're doing it. Maybe they've actually got this. Maybe that, when this comes out, maybe it's something they're doing. Because I think you're right. Essentially, and that's what a lot of people are saying. In the chat as well, that let's just copy paste this and stick it at the beginning of the game or in an area where the players can access it. Because there is definitely. So what is it? I think there's been more videos coming out recently with New World as well coming out, which has been quite, it's been a success. Whether or not you dislike or like the game, it's been a success for various reasons. But how long players take to get into a game and whether or not they're going to stick to it is, that time frame has shortened over time. And I'm not talking about, by a couple of minutes. I'm talking about like almost hours, because especially if you look at Steam charts over the years. I can't remember the small, silly amount of time it is now. I want to say it's 20 minutes. I think it's very dependent on the game as well, specifically. And if you're that kind of player, so, if it's a fighting game, if it's an MMORPG and you've got previous MMORPG experience, then you're expected to get to a certain point, because you might think the end game is the part of the game for you, whether or not it's leveling or whatever. It just makes me think, even more how more important it is that's at the beginning. Because I was running around yesterday with this event that we were talking about earlier, the level 10 event. You get to level 10 and then you get the weapon and the XP, and there is a ton of new players. And actually, funnily enough, it's actually more of an event for veterans as well, like just going back and getting these new weapons. Pardon me. And actually, a lot of the people that were new players are actually returning players after, 5-6 years or even since base game. And I'm like, all these people need to know this stuff, because some of this stuff is new to them, because some of this stuff just wasn't really looked at much. Like dodging wasn't like a big thing for just normal players. Like that dodging tutorial probably wasn't there when a lot of these players were coming back. Break bars weren't a massive deal until I can't remember, a couple of years, but more so fractals, I guess, and then raids. But a lot of this stuff needs to be in the base game. Like, why is it here? And this was where my thought was going to, how many people are going to be going here? How much of this is a separate? Because it brings up loads of questions for me. So much separation of the story, and it goes back to a point that Valen made earlier, which is very, very true. Actually, Guild Wars is doing this thing where, it's a separate thing that you can just buy and you can just go and do this thing. You can make a new character and you can just go play that content. Right, which is why another influence to what I said earlier about maybe you could just play as from level 1, even that's not the case. But
one of the reasons it's here, I guess, is lore wise, because this is a training monastery, right? It's it's literally so it's a good reason to have here.
And I'm sure also just from a work standpoint, right? This was probably something that they wanted to implement, and I don't have any real insight into this. This is just my guess, but they probably have wanted to implement this for a long time. But a big thing that I think we see, especially with Guild Wars 2, which again is a game that I think really operates off of as little revenue source as possible from players, right? As opposed to other games. And they have a smaller team than some other bigger studios. It seems like it's one of those things where maybe they've really wanted to do this, but really the only way that they could introduce this new feature or this thing was to put it into an expansion, right? To have the teams that are designing these zones and be like, hey, I need you to make an offshoot that has this stuff and these new mechanics, as opposed to devoting developer time back to the old game in a time when they're trying to prep for something big like this. And I do think that it gives them the opportunity to have all this stuff, right? To program how this all works and to take a look and scope and scale as well for new players that will just skip ahead to this expansion, or to players who are coming back and didn't play the other X packs but are like, I just want to play the new stuff because I loved Cantha and Guild Wars 1. I think it's smart to put it in there, but I'm hoping that they take that, and all the stuff that they featured were great, like the break bar stuff, that little combat arena, how to interact with unique usables, like the painting that Boots can't make a Peebus on. All of those I think are super, super great things to have in this game. So I'm hoping they just use that and reuse it, and then have a much easier time to be able to implement it in other parts of the game elsewhere down the road. But I'm sure it was just because this was part of how they could roll it into a new workload for stuff that was happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
What do you guys think about the Mount taxi?
Didn't seem like it was too big of a thing. It was just kind of maybe they'll just do it at the start of the game just to show people around.
Yeah.
Oh, you think just to show people around?
Yeah, maybe it's kind of reminiscent of the, like the spyglass when you're like in a map and you go to the spyglass and it shows you around.
Okay.
Instead of looking at the map, you'll actually just be going out and see it yourself.
If it's just that, then yeah, that's great. That's fine for me. I'm a little worried that it might, in some ways, at least in some areas, replace what waypoints brought to the game.
They've been reducing waypoints for a long time, though.
I know it's true.
They remove waypoints entirely. That could be good because it's an optional taxi.
Yeah, it's true.
I think.
And if the zone.
Sorry, go.
Oh no, you go ahead, Jeb.
Fine. All right. I think as well with that tutorial, I think it sets up the zone as a very good intro zone into the game if you're very new as well, because it could be maybe a little bit more cinematic, and we don't know the cinematics because, pardon me, they probably don't want us to like spoil that. But like, when you think about entering into a game, the training area potentially, if you do load into that zone and that's like fresh 80, like you use the boost and it sends you to that area, it sends you to the training area, maybe it actually picks up that you haven't played the game before, and then you go, and then that's your little cinematic into the game, right? I guess you got that ride on the raptor and Boots' face. What's he doing?
I just thought of something. No, it's true. They might not have.
What was that face about? Jesus, you were like.
I'm just thinking about waypoints, like because they might not have waypoints at least at first in the expansion because waypoints are Asura tech, right? And Asuras are banned from being in Cantha. So at least when we first, they have been.
Damn, I'm not going then. I'm not playing that expansion.
obviously during the expansion they're gonna somehow lift the ban because we're gonna be there. But at first it's possible they might not have waypoints.
It could be that the island itself is just of like the scale that, like you said, it doesn't necessarily need waypoints, or they want us to have more of an immersive experience ground level since they know so many people do have mounts and things. I honestly don't mind it. I'm one of those people that
Jade waypoints were in the stream.
Yeah, Jade waypoints.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I missed a lot of the stream. I could not hear a bunch of it.
Yeah, we tend to talk a lot during it because that's why, like, if you want to watch the stream, you should go and watch the stream and then come back, because we probably missed a lot of stuff, but we just got all the reactions, and we're all probably gonna go watch it afterwards.
Yeah, I think I heard a good 5% of the stream.
Maybe less for me, because I was looking at everyone else's faces and listening to what I was
the kid without arms.
Yeah, I was stuck on the kid with no arms.
I do want to also, the creepy kid with no arms, you mean? I do want to go on to Thief, because this was one of the main reasons why we're here. But just as something else, this is something that Valen said earlier, and something actually they said. So this was a direct quote. Maybe some words changed differently. They said, "We're trying to push break bars a lot more this expansion." Valen then said. Was talking about break bars doing more, maybe it prevents the boss from doing mechanic, and then we were talking about things like breaking the bars, change the mechanics of the fight. I don't know if you wanted to add anything on there, Van, because obviously that was something we talked about previously, but what was your thinking about that?
It was kind of more like end game oriented. Obviously they were showing open world. Obviously the break bars can be very simplistic. They can just be you break bar and then that stuns the boss. But when you're in like strike missions today, right, you break Bone Skinner, right, and it just kind of stuns the boss, and then you just sit there in DPS. I was saying how it would be interesting it could be interesting if they use the break bar creatively to kind of like manage the mechanics of those end game encounters. And I didn't have really any good examples, but you could break the bar, and that would sort of like, instead of stunning the boss, it would create like a mechanic or a phase change, and that could be used to make the break bars more meaningful. Not only because if you're just doing more DPS because you're breaking the bar, well then you could just not break the bar and just focus on DPSing.
Yeah.
So if the break bar was kind of like mandatory to do the mechanic, and then it was split up, the timing of it was important as well, not just the break bar is up now, I break now. It's like maybe a little bit more decision making. So yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's a really fascinating facet of Guild Wars 2's mechanical design. And it is something that a lot of players, like myself included when I first came to the game, you just don't really realize, which is partially why I think that all these things that they're doing to prepare the way for new players, like this training arena and everything that very clearly says that, I think, Valen, was it you who said it or Boots that I think hit the nail on the head with the idea of like, if they introduce these things, they won't feel like they can't be in an essence too punishing with them, or that players might not know what to expect. So we can't create more nuance with this because of this knowledge that there might be a gap of understanding in the player base. But if you really lean into it and you make it a foundational part of how this game is played and communicated to your players, then I think the possibilities of playing with that as a major feature for anything from fight design to endgame raids to, I think it becomes a lot more something that they can create unique things with. And we do know that they've said that they feel really strong about the strike missions and that there's going to be challenge versions of those coming to the game right at release. And I'm hoping for like raid wings post expansion like many other games do. But it would be neat to see them actually, I think, build off of that and do more stuff like this. Because they've played with them here or there, but I think they really could make that a major thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, no further.
So that means,
questions?
hold on a second though. That means we missed that there are Jade waypoints though, right?
We did. So there are
Yes,
waypoints.
you did. Yes.
So
Singles.
so then I'm totally okay with the mount taxis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They just don't seem that. I'm like, that's fine. I'm glad they're in there.
Fine.
And
They're nice.
I like in Red Dead Redemption 2 to just sit on my horse and put it on cinema mode and just ride around. So it's pretty much going to be the same
I need
for
to go
me.
play that game again. It was so good. So good. Such a good game. Ugh, it was beautiful, wasn't it? Like, that's the thing. You need those images to really back it up. And it's just like, yeah. I think that's going to be in trophy.
I do honestly think there is something to be said about introducing different paces of how players experience your maps and worlds. We've seen this in, Final Fantasy XIV recently, in the sense that they introduced this exploratory mode to dungeons, where you can go into dungeons now, and it's for like a select amount of them, hopefully all of them at some point, but you can go into them and they're cleared of enemies, and you can like use your skill abilities, and you can ride mounts in them and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that it gives you time to actually be able to appreciate the narrative and artistic design of those dungeons. You know, I've seen role players do everything from set role plays in them to do photo shoots in them to just wander around, capture video, do lore stuff. It's honestly something where I think that if you introduce a lot of different ways for players to experience your game at different paces and with different ways of engaging with it, you know, not just I have to tick off all the things on my map or I have to do X, Y, or Z. I think that you just increase overall a greater appreciation of what you've done in the game and what the world brings to the table. And so this is, I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal. I think it's great that you can rent mounts and you can take them out, but I also think it's great to introduce a different pace so that players maybe can sit back and look at things in a different light to engage with your game in a different way.
Speaking of playing the game the way you like and experiencing it the way you want, I 100% believe there will be one person at least who will rent one of the mounts, take the reins, and never return it. Literally just AFK somewhere with the mount and roleplay stealing the mount and never return the mount and then make a blog post about it. And it might be me.
I was literally gonna say it's probably just gonna be you, isn't it? Okay, is there anything else we want to talk about from the stream quickly? Because I want to go over to the beef and want to have at least a good 40-minute discussion about this if we possibly can. Because time is running out. Are we good?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, date was October 2nd. So it was a good old 6 days ago now. And we actually had a break on the podcast. And I was hoping and praying that there would be no awesome news. And there was only just this. So it wasn't too bad. I can't talk about it forever. But it is it's another teaser. I mean, most people seem to think it's a thief, apparently. Colors make sense. It's kind of, if you're listening to this on Spotify and you can't see this, which may be changing in the future, there is like kind of blood splatter. There's reds, there's blacks, there's kind of this purpley, really dark purple / blue in the background. There's this kind of, holding a weapon. What could it be? Many different things going on. I'm gonna go over to the. I'm gonna go to Valen. Valen plays Thief quite a lot, and Valen is here for not because I'm hoping Valen's going to come on in the future, not just to talk about Thief, but and has many knows much about the game, but talks about Thief quite a lot, plays Thief quite a lot. I would love to know. Would you say you're a Thief main, Valen?
Yes.
Okay, because this is the thing I like.
I'm guilty.
You are guilty. And this is the thing I love to hear from people, especially when they play this main class, and this is what I'm looking forward to when my class teaser finally comes out, because of the excitement. And I saw it with Rook as well, and we saw it kind of with Boots and Groove. But like, how did this image make you feel? How was it like? Were you excited by this? Are you like? Tell me what you think. First impressions.
No, I'm not really excited by it.
Oh, damn it, Valen.
I just
Come
know,
on, man.
I know
At least
100%.
fake it. Jesus.
I know 100%.
Fired,
I'm just going
not
to
back.
play it. Whatever it is, I'm just going to play it. So it doesn't really excite me. It's just like, yeah, give me it just now.
So that excites you.
I mean, that is, I guess.
I mean, I enjoy Thief how it is now. I'm going to enjoy it later.
Are you more excited than the knowledge as if they just said, you know what, Thief isn't getting an elite spec? Are you more excited now knowing that for sure Thief is getting an elite spec?
I think we could assume that.
they were definitely going to get one. I mean, you haven't got a choice in that one. Okay, fair enough. Boots and Rook, how initial first impressions? We'll go on to the other stuff in a minute, but like, this image excites you, or was it like, oh, Thief and or any of them?
Go ahead.
I think it's what I expected, which is odd to me, if that makes sense.
Well, you have to give some context here. What was it? What is it you're expecting?
Right, everybody thinks Thief. The first thing that came to mind for almost everyone in regards to Cantha was assassin or ninja, shinobi, that kind of thing. Like this theme that kind of is based around that. And while I don't necessarily think that this preview screams that exactly to me, the actual look of it, right? The like bloody trail and all that kind of stuff feels very much textbook what I would have expected if they were like, yeah, ninja's coming, like it visually looks like that to me. But I think the thing that's really interesting about it is the possible weapon. The idea that it might be a focus or something is actually something that kind of excites me. I think it'd be really fun to see something. I saw in chat people like, heal Thief. I think something like that would be really exciting. And I'm not just saying that as a support main. I would like to see something like that maybe subverts my expectations of this in a way that gives me some extra nuance, which the other classes really have done. So visually, I don't know if this image on its own really inspires me, more so than just the general theme of Thief already kind of does. But I do think the possibilities, if they do something unexpected with it, I could be very into it, like a punishment healer or something. I don't know. I could be very into it.
Punishment healer. I'm starting to get a little bit of a idea about Rook and some different things. Punishment healer, the whole wanting a whip in the game, all this kind of stuff. Okay, fine, Rook. Then just continue.
Isn't punishment a scourge thing? Yeah, the scourge utilities are punishments, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
Well, I guess I should clarify in that punishment meaning like the broader, like a punishment healer, somebody who deals damage to heal party, that kind of thing, as opposed to like specifically within the terms of Guild Wars.
Yeah, that was a bit like Vindicator, wasn't it? I like that kind of mechanic. Interesting. I like this idea. Okay. Good thoughts. Boots.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're on a podcast, mate. Just letting you know.
Right. I just thought about that child again.
Oh no!
Not to scare everyone. Please, someone get a GIF of that going or on the Twitter.
Her
There's got to
model
be.
is incomplete. You gotta cut her some slack.
Yeah. She's got brackets. Okay.
So yeah, with this, I would say that I like it. When I was thinking about the Thief back in the day, what it could be for an elite spec speculation, mine went to assassin, absolutely. But what did an assassin from Cantha have back in the day that thieves didn't have? More shadow magic. So like instead of just everything being more physical, which thieves kind of get, they are more magical, and this kind of evokes that for me. This is a more magical kind of thief, and yeah, I'm looking forward to some hexes or some drawing on the power of the Oni maybe, and the Oni mask is probably the icon. So yeah, the Oni back in Guild Wars 1 were some spooky dudes. It'd be very cool if these guys do that.
Okay. Well, I'll give you my first thoughts as well. Actually, this image was probably one of my favorite teasers, to be fair. It really was. I actually made a video, and I went on for a fair bit and didn't even talk about some of the blatant things I actually thought it was going to be, or just thought that it would be fun. It was weird. I was like, okay, because I was looking at the blood splatter, and I was like, okay, so what does that indicate? And if you look at the actual image kind of a little bit closer, you can see on this kind of just below the leg, it kind of looks like, that could be a bit more veiny. Like, do you know what I mean? Like these veins kind of coming out and like blood splatter and like, it's got this very blood theme. And then I was like, okay. And this is going a little bit more off of like, a little bit further than first impressions. So I'll stay there because I'm going to go back to Valen and ask him what he thinks this spec might be. And obviously Boots and Rick kind of did the same. But like with the scepter a little bit more, magical. But then I was thinking, and then after I did the video, and I wish I'd put this in there, like, and I think maybe Kroof said this somewhere, maybe in a previous podcast. I'm not sure if we came up with as an idea, like a vampire-y kind of, blood, because, there's blood there. I mean, I know that you were talking about this assassin class and everything else, but then I started looking at so what I normally do is when I go through all the classes and the weapons, I look at what they do condition-wise and whether or not they control or whatever. And then I was like, okay, so Scepter does confusion on Mesmer and it does bleeding on Necro. Okay, maybe they could do some. They're probably going to do some bleeding with this. So it's going to be condition oriented. But then you were talking about a healer, Rook, and then I'm thinking, oh well, maybe there could be some kind of leeching. There could be some traits in there to do with like leeching health from the enemies and like putting it into your raid team or yourself. And I was like, okay, so there's actually because there's a lot you can glean from this, I think, as well. And I think there's a lot more you can glean from this than you can from the Ranger one specifically, because it gives you a little bit more. It gives you blood splatter. It gives you these kind of more sharp lines in the background. When I'm talking about veins and that, even if it's not got anything to do with whatsoever, the weapon is very. I don't know, the whole. The pose of the actual character as well, and I can see, Rook, that you are on the edge of your seat. What is it you need to say? Tell me. It's okay.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, I think that the Ranger image does have a lot to say, but I actually hadn't thought about that blood element until you started pointing it out, and I absolutely can see that. And I just immediately started thinking about how cool it would be to have some kind of class where, like, I don't know, that played off of applying bleeds in a way that was unique, where, if you had so many bleeds on enemies, like if we're thinking that, again, like kind of punishment healer, then like the amount of bleeds or like the tick of damage you were doing would tick your party up. Or, stuff if you were looking at it as a build that might be more offensive, where if you had so many, like, I don't know, bleed, or if you had other effects that were running, it would then affect or power up certain abilities that you had. So like if you applied bleed to an enemy, then that would provide you like some kind of buff where then you do more damage, or certain abilities would, I don't know. I think
you could like debuff, you could be a debuffer in a way, and like you make them more likely to bleed, and that could be good in raids potentially, because you'd be buffing your allies by debuffing the enemy or something.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, okay, I like this is good. Okay.
Or if you're going the full support route idea and you do bloody sacrifices of your own body in order to help your friends.
Yeah, that'd be neat. I love bloody sacrifices.
This is the thing as well. And Boots, you're talking about Guild Wars Thief as well, original, like being a bit more magical and stuff. So I'm
sacrifices.
Like, I'm wondering, like, and Valen, like, in terms of like a thief and being like a main thief player, like, does this, having more magic and having assuming a scepter, which is what that may be, or whatever, maybe in the main hand, like, Is that like a way that a thief player might want to play? I mean, I know we're generalizing massively. Like every thief player is the same person, but like
the weapon isn't really mandatory. I mean,
very true.
Yeah, rifle on Deadeye, you pretty much use that. But do thieves really use staff? I mean, I guess in PvE they do. I don't think the scepter is necessarily mandatory for the build. So I mean, I would like to see all kinds of weapons be valuable on thief, especially dagger. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I didn't really see the blood thing at first. I was going for more like that shadowy kind of feel to it. Like I felt it was more of like a mesmer, right? Because when you look at the icon, we think it's the mask is the icon, right? And normally when we think of mesmer, we think of the mask. So maybe it could be like thief, but a mesmer. And that's pretty reasonable because what is the god of mesmers is Lissa, right? But in Guild Wars 1, the god of assassins was also Lissa.
Oh.
And
so you're saying that as a thief, stealth isn't enough. You also want more stealth and clones than Mesmer has.
Well, it doesn't have to be
Jesus.
I mean, we already have deceptions as a thief, so I don't think you need more of that. But it could be because like
but
the
hexes,
whole set,
hexes is a Guild Wars 1 Mesmer thing.
Yeah,
so
it could definitely be hexes for sure. And that plays into the whole Oni thing as well. Because what was that in Guild Wars 1? There was a hex called like Shroud of Shadows or something. It was a elite skill that you only got from Oni, but you couldn't really cap it from Oni because there was, Oni are very rare and there's only one Oni boss, right? So you have to like get that elite skill from this Oni at like the very end of the game, but you're seeing them the entire game and they're constantly harassing you with this skill called, I think it's called Shroud of Shadows, and it makes it so that you cannot cast spells or you cannot be enchanted or something like that. And it could be something like that where you cast like hexes on people and it prevents them from gaining boons, or it prevents them from being able to dodge, or it prevents them from something like that, where you're preventing the enemy from doing something, and that could be really good in PvP as well, because like maybe thieves don't really do that much damage compared to like other classes, but what they're really good at is coordinating their damage, right, with their team. So you could support your team by, finding the focus target and preventing them from avoiding your team's attacks by, preventing them from dodging or preventing them from getting boons or getting support, right?
You know what I'd like to see a hex do? So you know how blind makes you miss your next attack and sort of just puts a little bit of smokiness around your thing? I would like to see a hex that does a short duration, because in some places your screen basically goes completely black except for a small area around you, in some like in dungeons or in some encounters. I like to see a spell that makes you lose control, like lose complete sight of the battlefield for a few seconds.
That'd be pretty wild.
I don't think that's good. That's not fun.
I think it's great.
Uh-oh.
I think it's great.
Not fun, dude. I don't want to play against that.
Of course not. But I mean, you're a thief main, so you wouldn't have to.
Okay, there's a link in there for that. Thank you, Rita. Appreciate that very much indeed. Everyone have a look at that if you want. Good stuff. Okay, well,
Yeah, that's the skill I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your info.
I remember using this for runs.
So and the Oni,
sorry,
the whole idea of like the Oni as well, right? That ties into Mesmer a lot as well, because they kind of like it just appeared out of nowhere, and they're very illusion based. So, yeah, I think this could be it.
Be
Interesting.
I like how when you add magic to a profession that usually doesn't have any magic in it, it opens up so many avenues. Like it could be anything now. It could do anything. If it has magic, it now could do anything.
Honestly, I think it's a fun way to expand this whole kind of class concept. It's interesting when you asked the question earlier, is this something that, Thief players would want, Jeb? On one hand, absolutely, I think, you have to listen to the player base and things that they want, you want to try and meet them to introduce it. But I also think sometimes that like you can open up a whole new class to a completely different sect of people and player if you do something that is so different with it. And the idea of doing something that is kind of magical here with Thief, if the rest of the other parts of Thief don't appeal to somebody, but this new elite spec does, that's like a whole new group of players that are going to be coming in that might want to try this, that might want to connect with it or see what the rest of the class has to offer.
Like if you want more of the same, then just keep playing Daredevil, right? Or
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, do you want Daredevil number 2? I mean, most Thief players they enjoy Daredevil, so I mean, if they don't like the new spec, it's not like,
the end of the world.
You may like the new spec, or you may not, but you have the option.
Would this be the edgiest spec for the edgiest people in the game? Like, would you need to be this kind of Thief now? Like, or it's either that or Reaper, right?
I mean, yeah, but it depends on the overall aesthetic here, I feel like. If it does end up being something where it's like, I spill my own blood to do damage on, my body, then yes, it will easily be the new edgiest one. Nice. If it's not,
though... so edgy, though.
Well, it depends. Okay. We're not all rainbow and sparkles. Sometimes support can get all kinds of messed up.
Yeah. What if you support people by turning them into demon hybrids?
Yeah, there you go. What if I'm helping by turning you into an abomination?
Exactly.
It could work.
Just explain it with jade magic.
Yeah.
Okay, Stream, just because I know you're all saying blood, I'm on the blood train, okay? I'm on the blood train. We're talking about blood. I'm with you. The idea of maybe the vampire magic and all that kind of stuff. I'm with you. The bleeding. I like that idea.
Camps. There's the blood camp, and then there's the
Hex camp.
Shadowy camp.
Yeah, okay.
I think it could both be merged.
I'm in the Oni camp, and I think I could have both of them.
Rick is trying to be the person between, like, look, okay, it could be this and it could be that.
I think the Oni camp takes the blood and takes the hexes and puts them together.
You could easily do that because I mean, there are so many different myths and things, right? Of like Oni eating people, consuming, like Oni essentially being a term that like just generically refers to demons in mythology or other aspects in Japan. It's like you could do so much with that, you know what I mean? Like it could get all kinds of bloody and still pertain to demons. There are even in various like East Asian traditions vampire parallels, although they're different, right? But the idea of some kind of entity or creature that imbibes or consumes blood or uses blood or takes blood from people, it's not just Western vampires. So there's all sorts of stuff that you could do with it. And I think based off of the mask, the icon that we've seen, if we're going to say, yes, this is definitely it, like, it does look very Oni-like. So having something in here that would tie into that, I could totally see it being the case.
I have a question for you guys.
Interesting.
His arm braces, are those something available in game? They look exactly like the exotic arm braces from Guild Wars 1, and they also look like Shredder arm braces.
I do like Shredder arm braces, actually. That's true. We're going for the 80s cartoon, 80s, 90s cartoons today. I love it. We're first battle cap.
They are available in game. They are available in game. I will have to get them.
If you get a transform, can you imagine that? That'd be cool. Oh, damn. ESO Vampire came up into my head now.
Yes, me too. That'd be awesome. You get some kind of like demon mode or something if we're going with the Oni thing, where if you like, okay, I'm gonna combine them all into one big thing, where maybe each time you do a bleed or a bleed ticks or something, that then fills some kind of gauge, or like blood somehow plays into it. When you consume enough of whatever that resource is, or you yourself spill enough, or you get to whatever point, then you get some kind of transform where you get some kind of Oni state, or
yes, please.
But it still has to be a thief, right? So how would it change the class mechanic? Because usually, right, Daredevil changed the dodge and it changed the steal to swipe. Deadeye changed the steal and then sort of added like a sneak attack and then a little bit of like initiative. So the new one, I mean, they just reworked how the UI looks for a thief, right? Mm-hmm. So the initiative is like organized differently. So I'm not sure if that's like maybe they're getting prepared for like the new specs mechanic is going to like change how initiative works.
It's possible.
Or are they? I
Will
think
you
they
get
might change
initiative? Would it
steal
even be
and
called
initiative at the same time.
Would it even be
Yeah,
called
what if-
initiative though? Would it
What
be
if you
called
don't
something
get
else?
steal until you are in your Oni form, and then all of your 5 skills are a steal skill?
Well, what's the Oni form coming from? We're just adding like a F3 in here.
Yeah. That's the
No,
F1,
rampage.
that's the
It's the
transfer.
rampage.
Yeah.
It's
Where's
the
the
rampage.
trade-off?
The trade-off is you don't get steal until you get to your Oni form.
There you go.
There's no trade-off, just a coolness factor that's immediately added
Yeah,
to the
it's
class. That's
literally just-
crucial.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, there's the whole idea of when you steal to a specific class, right? You get something
That's
based
an
on
issue,
that, right?
yeah.
So
But is that core to a thief? Like, do you need to have that as a thief?
yeah, for Deadeye, it's the same thing. Even though they're all kind of similar in mechanic, they have a different flavor.
I know it's great. I like that part about it, but are any traits related to the fact that they're different skills?
No, but
Yeah, so it's not something that needs to
extend things, I
stay
guess.
for an expansion.
but why not? I mean, it could
Trade-offs.
be good. Like, that could be a cool
Trade-offs there.
It
I
would
mean,
be
yeah,
cool.
that makes sense.
Like, if you, okay, we're gonna go with the demon form thing, right? Like, maybe you steal to another, class, a warrior,
Yeah,
and get your demon mode as a warrior,
warrior demon. Oh,
and like endure pain or whatever. That sounds a little bit broken, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
You're smiling though, so it could be fun. I think.
get, clones, or you steal to a necromancer and you get fears, right?
Yeah.
You already kind of do that, but you get the point, right?
Yeah, what if out of your 5 skills, 3 are things you get all the time, and 2 of them are based on whatever you stole to?
You have to remember they're also changing the rules and all the things. So I'm going to keep going to that. So it could be fun. It could be anything at this point in time. Try not to swear. You never know. I think this is what I like. This is why I like the teaser images the most, because it can be absolutely anything. Like, it can just be, well, obviously it's not potato, but like, it'd be a bit random out of left field, but like, and anything it's like art, right? Art it's all in the, I'm like, eye of the beholder and all that kind of, you glean from it what you get from it, depending on your experiences of life, what you desire, what you want to see in the future, etc., which is what I like about these images, because you can kind of look at it and be like, we've all got different things from this. And we all could be very wrong.
Yeah, I think we could speculate all day long and continuously come up with new ideas for this. They'd all be wrong, but the one thing we could glean from all this is that because it's a thief, it's going to be broken.
I mean, we know that it's a thief. At least we probably know that it's definitely a thief. Yeah, and I noticed that Kalaris, yes, you saying that where's the head, and I know you're just being a cheeky sod, and you know where the head is. But if anyone is confused about where the head is, they're clearly kind of looking down like this, and they're kind of jumping from somewhere, from above, ready to go. The thing is like that the thing that makes me think that this is kind of some kind of involves some kind of bleeding or anything else is that the blood splatters are kind of around them. And it looks like they're launching, so it looks like something they used before, maybe as well. That's what makes me think about that a little bit, because or maybe they're launching from a kill, I guess, like, or something.
Yeah, it looks
maybe.
like he's sliding down a hill for me.
Yeah, it kind of does look like that. I guess.
Yeah,
I guess.
Also,
a
one
blood
mechanic. Go ahead.
hill. I was just saying it was a blood hill that he's sliding down.
A blood hill. Okay.
Do you remember the World versus World special event where you could like kill another class and then get their skill bar?
Mm-hmm.
I just reminded myself of that, and they could literally just use that.
Yeah, it's in the game.
But instead of like changing your actual skills, it would put like F abilities.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Fans would have to, start binding all of those F abilities now.
Mm-hmm. Did you? Cool. Yeah, that would be really cool. It's something they have in the game already. So yeah, why not?
I'm reading chat as well. Chat's been great today. It's just Halloween themed, lies. No head. Okay, fair enough. Head is shrunk. It's like Beetlejuice, when they shrunk their heads. Exactly. Yeah. Get the little figures of that. Gone very 80s, 90s today. It's good. I like it. Okay. All right. Anything else anyone wants to talk about in this image? We good?
Think I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, actually, someone did say you could get those bracers in the game already.
Okay.
I don't know if they said what they're called. Please tell me in chat what they're called, because I want to know and find them.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait for it.
Send Boots the screenshot. Do the things. If he's got a head, he's missing a leg. Wait.
Yeah, that actually might be like telling to what it might be, because didn't the Bladesworn have the draconic armor on?
Yeah.
With like dragon slash, right?
True.
So the ranger one, they're wearing the Solari tier gear, so maybe it's like the warden. So if we could understand what gear this is wearing, maybe that's like suggestive of what the actual lore or the
Okay.
class.
We got like 10 minutes. Get the image. Let's have a look. Let's get the image. Did you say someone has got it or sending it to you?
Yeah, maybe we're just
Nobody. Someone said it's in game already. Someone said it's in game,
What is
but
it?
then there's no follow up.
What?
We need to know.
Tell
Be
me.
the hero we need.
Oh, okay. So it is Kuro who said it was in game, and he's replying to me now and saying, "By the way, the skin it's most closely related to is the Flame Legion skin, but it may be reskinned. Oh, so maybe it isn't in game.
Okay, so it's a guess. It's not a certain for sure. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
It does look like the. Yeah, there's a few things.
It's 100% the exotic arm braces from Guild Wars 1 Assassins.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up.
so it's just gonna be assassin then, right?
It's just gonna be a.
It's just assassin, everybody.
That would be very boring. Anyway, okay. So Guild Chat was good. We got a teaser of Ranger. We got the teaser previously from Faith. Engineer still left. We got till the 26th. Okay, so how long ago was the Faith teaser? That was 6 days ago. So I think we can probably assume next Friday, maybe? Or next Wednesday, maybe? 6 days. Because that was weird, because it was on a Saturday. I don't normally get stuff on a Saturday from Guild Wars Stage. It's random. Okay.
I'm gonna link in chat the exotic armor, and I'm gonna ask Reader Geek to allow it. It is not the same stuff. We were just having a little chat about it in Discord that this is the most interesting look in Guild Wars 1.
Who wants to wear who wants to wear a needle-covered codpiece? I don't understand.
Have you not seen the armor in Guild Wars? It's awful.
Seen this on my Put this on their body.
Yeah, it's like they got needles pointing up into their exposed stomach.
Yeah, but that's like self-punishment. That's your punishment, Faith. Like, I mean,
There it is.
That's not.
This is our new elite spec, everybody. This is what's coming in our
Acupuncture thief.
See?
Is
Acupuncture.
that the
There you go.
Acupuncture thief. That's gonna be my new canonical guest for this. Yep.
Bladed armor from
Amazing.
Heart of Thorns. Potentially,
Amazing.
yeah. Bladed armor from Heart of Thorns is pretty It's pretty
Also,
brutal.
he's got like the skinniest waist.
Are you objectifying them?
I am a little bit. It's hard not to with that armor.
You have the option to objectify. Actually, the versions, are they the same? Pretty much.
I don't know if it's bladed armor either. I do feel like I've seen something kind of like it, but I don't know what it is. It's that like very distinctive, that like right along the line of the arm with all of those sort of sticking out. I mean, it does evoke, I think, even more so what you were kind of thinking, Jeb, the idea of something that would, again, slice, gash, tear. Like my thought would be that that's why you would use something like that on a piece of gear. But who knows?
Very interesting. Either way.
Yep, it is interesting.
I just wonder. I've definitely seen that somewhere. Trying to think. Okay, all right. I think we're good.
Hey, did Assassins in Guild Wars 1 come out before or after Naruto?
After.
After. Okay.
During the whole thing, yeah. Let's go with after.
Got it.
No idea.
It was definitely after, because everyone was naming their assassins with Naruto characters.
I do not doubt it.
Batman.
Yeah, so it's definitely after.
I mean, Batman. Let's go with Batman. Batman, yes, the Batman spec. I'm there. I like Batman. Batman's good. Okay, I think we're good. We're just shouting out things now. Porcupine armor. Okay. I don't know. I think it's okay. You can see. Just shout things out in the chat. That'll do. Okay. Awesome. Anything else? Generally, I think, we're still getting the hype. We're still getting the things. We're getting fed extra bits and bobs. I wasn't expecting to see this guild chat. It wasn't actually announced very early. I wonder what the viewership was like on that stream, actually. I think that they do shoot themselves in the foot by doing this a little bit late. Like, they literally, like, the day before, they're like, oh yeah, let's just do this. I think it's also got to do a lot with their development time, so there's probably not very much they can actually do with the whole, announcing all this stuff early. But I know that people would definitely want to see this, probably. They're interested in the story. But I think, the main pull, I just think, like, a lot of the pull is the elite specializations. Like, people just really want that info. But, like, this was really, really nice to see the kind of events, actually, as well, because they showed us a lot of the events as well, which is kind of surprising that they did, because I thought they were just going to go, like, get maybe a mount and just show us the aerial view of the map and stuff. They didn't really show us that much. They showed us some, like, pocket areas, I guess, and they showed us, like, the Naga and stuff like that. 5k total viewers. I wonder what the elite specialization ones normally are.
There's a lot of land-based events from water-based monsters.
Which was cool. I loved the animation of the Naga bursting up from the water. That was great. And it again creates a sense of a more dynamic world, That was so neat. And then the things that they even showed with the new event, right? So some of those new mechanics and being able to stack up the boxes and having these little, bits and pieces and the lore they had worked into it. I think all of that it's just great to see. It gives you a little bit of extra something with the events and other things you might be interacting with on the maps.
Yeah, I like looking at those turtles.
Yeah, I'm excited for this.
They were good turtles.
We've got October 26th is the Elite Specialization Beta. Then we're going to have end of November is going to be all of them plus Turtle. Or was that December?
Oh, can you go back like 30 seconds in the video?
Yep.
Someone mentioned in chat, I want to see what they were talking about, that the Reaper seems to have water issues. I want to see...
Water issues?
Yeah. So he went in the water.
Okay.
And, no. They had their water weapons equipped. All right, I just wanted to make sure that they had water weapons equipped. Just to know how much water combat we could expect in End of Dragons. If they didn't have water weapons equipped, then...
I think the inference is that they want the water to be a big thing, not really because of, like, the content that's specifically down in the water, but what we can get from being on top of it, like with the skiffs and fishing, and there's bound to be stuff down there. There's going to be events, there's going to be things going on, obviously, as you can see, but, like, I don't think that's going to be the main focus. I think they've definitely fine-tuned and added stuff as we've gone, over the years.
Wait a second, there's some interesting skills under there.
Oh god, that could be event stuff though.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't remember what a lot of the underwater skills are for a lot of the classes. In all honesty, if I go underwater now and use any class with newer elite specialization, I'm like, Jesus, I haven't seen that for years, because, like, I don't do anything underwater anyway. Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, I like this. Like this kind of event is pretty cool, actually. I like this. A big, massive area that he's trying to cap. I can imagine people just getting really just annoyed with this as well. It could be like a forum/Reddit thing. It'd be interesting to see how people feel about this. I do want to go back and just look at the chat and see what people are saying about this and getting knocked back.
Yeah, they're saying, the chat in the
during the live stream. Yeah. Oh, actually, what are people saying in the chat here as well?
They're saying that those skills were dev hacks, and to insta kill things. So I'm wondering if he switched to the dev hacks to kill things like manually, or if automatically when he goes underwater, that's what happens because he doesn't want to do underwater combat.
Maybe. Oh God, that's awful. Okay. Well, either way, we are going to go because that's going to be it. Thank you, everyone. Good job. Excelente. Goodbye. No, we're going to do a little bit of an outro. That's what we're going to do. We just play some music as well. That'd be nice to do.
Oh, no. He's got the regular skills underwater, too.
You are really harping on this.
I know.
I'm going to find out every secret.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it. He did it on purpose.
Another thing we're going to do on purpose is an outro and telling everyone indeed what we do and where we do it and why we do it if we want to, I guess. Boots, tell us, what do you do? Where can people find you? You have been streaming as well recently.
Yeah. So you can find me streaming now sometimes, Tuesdays and Thursdays usually.
Sometimes, specifically on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, it's been Tuesdays and Thursdays recently at that link right there, twitch.tv/boots_WOE, boots with two T's. I'll be talking primarily about dev skills, underwater combat, and stuff like that. That's what I'm really, really interested in.
What time?
And that's it. And also World of Enders. That's what I do. YouTube. Bye.
What time do you stream? Bloody hell.
I thought you were telling me. Wrap it up.
What time do you stream? I said time.
I was trying to go fast for you, Jebro.
No, we're going fast for you, lot. I don't care. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing today.
It's usually afternoon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So like either starting at 1 Eastern time or 2 Eastern time until like 4 or 5.
1 or 2 Eastern time. So that's about 6-7 o'clock in Europe-ish, around those times, depending on where you are. GMT, PST, and all the T's. Rook, tell us what you do, where you do it, what's going on. Things.
Absolutely. You can find me all over the place right now at Bird of Chess. So I usually stream over on my own channel, twitch.tv Bird of Chess. And then if I'm not live there, you can find me over on podcasts like the LightBringers or on Aetheryte Radio, a Final Fantasy XIV podcast I'm a part of on Saturdays with Gamer Escape. Usually roughly once per week, we upload a new YouTube video as well. And this upcoming week, so October 13th, I'm going to actually have a bunch of coverage. Sorry, Guild Wars 2, I love you as well. I love you both equally, but I'm going to have a bunch of coverage of Final Fantasy XIV's media tour that's going up and that I've worked really hard on, so please watch it. Thank you. But that's going to be happening. And the only other note is that very soon I'm actually going to be going through a full-scale rebrand, which I've been announcing. So it will no longer be Bird of Chess after a little bit here. It will be Rookuri, so Rookuri.
We know what it is. Can you spell that in the chat?
Can you
write?
Yes.
Write it down in the chat so I can.
Do we pronounce it Urukuri or Urukuri?
You can do it either way, whichever way is more fun for you.
Did you already get the name? Do you have the name already reserved on Twitch?
We are good to go. Yes, everything is good. We're gonna be switching to it. So.
Awesome.
So very cool. I like that name.
Indeed, good stuff. And all I'm gonna forget to change the description for everything.
I know. I'll let you know when it officially changes.
Good lord. Okay, epic. And last but not least, Valen, who also does YouTube stuff and Twitch stuff. What are your channels? Where can people find you? What time do you stream? If you're streaming during the week or whenever, tell us about your stuff.
Just Valen on Twitch and YouTube. I don't really have a schedule. But I will be doing a lot of the new elite specs, testing them out in World v World and PvP. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Go and follow for all the Guild Wars 2 stuffs. Also does some very nifty drum stuff as well on the YouTube channel, which I very much like as well. Did some stuff. He did a Tool song as well, which was very cool. I like that. It's good stuff. Go and watch for all the things. And also me doing stuff. YouTube, Twitch, Jebro Unity. If you search Jebro GW2, you'll probably find me, as well as doing loads of content for a variety of games. Well on that New World train. Yes, YouTube, I know you don't like it, but I do. So screw you. In very kind and beautiful, wonderful ways. But yes, loads of stuff coming up in the future. I've just started my internship to be a counselor. It is a busy life at the moment. I'm doing lots of learning. I'm seeing clients, streams, schedules going down a little bit, YouTube, all the kind of stuff. So if you do want to support the channel, please chuck me a follow on Twitch right here if you're live right now, or go to twitch.tv/JebroUni as well. You can go and do all the things. Subscribe on YouTube if you're watching it there. If you want to support an anchor, you can do that. And obviously, if you're listening on Spotify, Google, Apple, all the bloody things, I don't know. Like the thing, favorite it, whatever you want to do. Also, some interesting news. Spotify may even have some video stuff coming soon, which is some information which I am allowed to tell you, and is very, very, very awesome. So you may be able to see the faces of the people you're listening to right now. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Lightbringers. I and the Lightbringers will see you very, very soon, probably next Friday. Come and watch live on a Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific. See you next time. You may all wave if you like. If you want.